The Ghana Italy News Network. Our world, our stories from our perspective. Please subscribe or sponsor or advertise with us on YouTube, Facebook, or at ghanamuntianews@yahoo.com. Subscribe or order your monthly newspaper, the Ghana Italy News Network, from ghanamuntianews@yahoo.com for a price of only €1. The Ghana Italy News Network, available in all African churches and in all African shops. A report published by the Ministry of Education said that there were 755,939 non-Italian students registered in the 2011-2012 academic year. Of these, 44.2% were of those born in Italy. The highest percentage were from the Lombardy and Veneto regions, where half of the students enrolled was born in Italy. The other schools reopened from the 12th of May 2012, and as students face the 2012-2013 academic year, many issues concerning education has evolved, which must not bypass our years, since such might have added more unrest to the souls of these second generation, or G2 as they are known. As the old order is changing and giving place to the new after over 20 years of our migration story, it is enough for us to learn and be interested in some of the challenges they face in the community. Among them are those I call the Afro-Italianists, that is, the African children birthed in Italy who have now acquired citizenship, and those I call natives, who are African children born in Italy and sent to their parents' country or birthed in their native countries respectively, and who have joined their parents in Italy. Who are they, and what identity are they being formed in their schools? How can parents help their children best integrate into a world where most of them have little knowledge of except those passed on to them by other people, since they themselves have resigned in any course of integration? A report recently said that girls in Italy as young as 8 use mascara and rouge. Dolls and stuffed animals are taking a backseat to mascara and rouge among Italian elementary school girls, enough to spark an epidemic of makeup-induced dermatitis. Girls as young as 7 or 8 are focusing on their looks, as are their parents, who either doll them up or help them beautify themselves. The president of the Italian Federation of Pediatricians, FIMP, Giuseppe Mele, warned, quote, "The use of makeups among girls has led to the sudden rise of allergic and contact dermatitis, recording a 16.7% increase in such pathologies in the 8 to 12-year-old group." Mele told journalists at a Rome presentation of the 6th National FIMP Congress, which took place in Genoa from the 27th through the 29th of September 2012. Mele also warned that marketeers increasingly target children directly rather than indirectly through their mothers, quote, "a phenomenon to monitor closely," unquote, Mele added. Among educational issues and controversies raised a few weeks school reopened that needs also to be reviewed is Brescia's Deputy Mayor's decision to withhold food and bath services for Roma children. Since school reopened, at least 70 elementary and nursery children from the Roma camp go to school on foot and cannot eat at schools. Asked why these children cannot join the school bus nor eat at school, the deputy mayor said just as these services are withheld from any family that refuses to pay their canteen and transport bills for their children, so do, quote, the administration limits in dealing with nomadic families in the same way they treat all citizens living in Brescia, unquote. Though this fact prompted protest from nomadic associations and some political parties, the deputy mayor of the city, however, replied that, quote, the suspension of non-compulsory education services is not intended to penalize any specific group of people. The administration is limited to dealing with nomadic families in the same way they treat all citizens living in Brescia, without any privileges or without any penalty targeted, unquote. And that's, quote, the rules provided by the municipal services are the same for both Italian and foreigners, whether nomadic or settled, without any discrimination, unquote. The deputy sitting mayor, Fabio Rolfi, continues in a note. The reason that led to this decision is their failure to the payment of these overdue bills for several years and their refusal to consider any installment plan and debt repayment proposed by the city's administrators. The debt due to the city of Brescia by these families over the past 5 years is equal to 140,000 euros. This behavior, according to the city's deputy mayor, undermines the very logic that supports the coexistence of the community. It was therefore decided to focus on compliance with the rules, which will also send a strong message to all people living in Brescia. In conclusion, the deputy mayor said that in the coming weeks, they will try to identify within the camps those who live in conditions of real poverty and who can make the effort to pay, and also help them fish out their cunning profiteers. Whilst the highly regarded Polytechnic of Milan is going to become an English-speaking university because Italy is going multicultural, Italy's Minister of Education, who also wishes to adapt to a multicultural country, has called for revision of Italy's education syllabus by taking into account the country's multi-ethnic reality. He observed that Italy is increasingly becoming multi-ethnic, with many students from different countries, culture, and religious backgrounds. Mr. Profumo stressed that the school must be more open, multi-ethnic, and produce students capable of relating to the world. He said there was need of revising not only religious education syllabus, but also other subjects such as geography, to reflect the new multi-ethnic culture. Mr. Profumo said that when he recently visited a school with 50% of foreign students and asked the students how they were studying geography, they told him, quote, not from books, but from our colleagues who narrate to us about their towns and traditions, unquote. In a press release in Rome on the 26th of September 2012, Mr. Francesco Profumo refused to back down from his earlier suggestions that schools in the country should teach more than Catholicism in the classroom. But Francesco Profumo said he had no immediate plan to change, quote, certain rules and terms, unquote, of the curriculum for religious classes. As Italy becomes more multicultural, it may be important to teach students about other faiths, Profumo said. He expanded on his views in a letter to Catholic philosopher Giovanni Reale. Quote, our country is at the center of a tumultuous evolution, both political and spiritual, in the Mediterranean, which has always been a crossroad of peoples and faiths, unquote, Profumo wrote. It's time, therefore, that Italian schools could deal with the changing reality, unquote, of a multicultural world, he added. The minister's statement triggered controversy recently. Religious education teachers have responded to Profumo's ideas by saying the Catholic faith is deeply embedded, part of Italy's historical heritage, and curricula shouldn't be changed. These teachers and an association for Italian families noted that in June, Profumo signed new agreements on what would be taught in religious education classes, and now is no time for change. Quote, Christianity is intricately inserted in the history of our country, unquote, said Francesco Belletti, the president of the Forum of Family Associations. Religious teachers are appointed by schools in consultation with local religious Catholic authorities. Students who opt out of religion classes should be given alternative teachings according to ministry rules, but in practice sometimes do not receive any. 1 in 10 Italian students are not Italian, and a slightly higher percentage are not Catholic. A small minority of atheists and agnostic parents insist their children should not be given lessons in Catholicism. Most Ghanaian evangelicals and Pentecostals prefer not to allow their children to be given lessons on religion, and those who do not really know what is taught to their children at schools care less. Many children of the evangelical faith have expressed their discomfort at the time for religious lessons, claiming that their teachers teach them religious relativism, and some even invite them to practice yoga in classrooms. So, why the uproar? For a long time, the schools have been teaching on relativism and not only the Catholic religion at schools. So, what is the big deal? As with regard to the changing of the curriculum for geography, we all agree that after 20 years of hearing that Ghana is on the other side of the world in North Africa, the schoolmates of our children need to learn where they can trace our proud roots. From opera at La Scala to football at the San Siro Stadium, from the catwalks of fashion weeks to the soaring architecture of the cathedral, Milan is crowded with Italian icons, which makes it even more of a cultural earthquake than one of Italy's leading universities, the Politecnico of Milano, which is going to switch to English language. The university has announced that from 2014, most of its degree courses, including all its graduate courses, will be taught and assessed entirely in English rather than Italian. The water of globalization are rising around higher education, and the university believes that if it remains Italian-speaking, it risks isolation and will be unable to compete as an international institution. Italy might have been the cradle of the last great global language, Latin, but now this university is planning to adopt English as the new common language, and this country, which wants to run along with the waves of multiculturalism, is driving on a port-hole road towards religious relativism. It is now left with parents to decide what to do with the above issues. Though many parents might not know what their children go through at schools, they must not forget that these need to be encouraged, loved, and assured of the better future that lies ahead of them, no matter the circumstances to which they might find themselves, and must teach them to always dream and have visions.
Addirittura alla carica di ministro con il governo Chrétien. Sarebbe successo a un emigrato in Italia, secondo lei?
Penso di no, come esistono adesso le leggi. Se non mi sbaglio, in Italia la cittadinanza non esiste, cioè una persona che arriva lì come emigrante non può dire no. Di conseguenza questo emargina la gente, li tiene fuori.
Nelle scuole ci sono insegnanti dedicati, ci sono delle strutture, ci sono dei tempi che proprio vengono riservati ai ragazzi perché questi possano superare il loro deficit, senza comunque segregarli, per cui non esistono scuole differenziate.
Little pig, let me in! Not the hair of my chinny chin chin!
When we talk about language means 4 different things, right? Listening, speaking, reading, and writing. When we want to teach them how to learn the language, it's all about immersion, right? So even when we talk about grammar, we don't teach grammar separately. It's part of the language acquisition.
Per chi è arrivato da poco in Canada, trovare i cartelli scritti nelle proprie lingue come il bengali, l'urdu, lo spagnolo è rassicurante.
Any school can order these signs and you can select the languages that you want to be on it.
We encourage the parents to read to them in their language, to read their language papers, their national papers and things like that. And we will teach them to speak English at school. If we have children, especially older ones who don't have English, we encourage them to write in their own language too, just so that they're part of that writing process as well.
Students who graduate with more than one language have amazing opportunities in the workforce. It's a global economy. You can't go anywhere with just one language.
When you look at the languages and the cultural experience of children from different backgrounds as resources, as something that they're bringing into Canada that can enrich the entire country, then children who grow up in a monolingual, monocultural environment are not getting access to that education.
Bravo! Un pied, deux pieds, un pied, deux pieds.